Hello everybody, my name is X Factor. Welcome back to some Battlefield 4 Naval Strike. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. This is one of my favorite expansion packs ever to grace the Battlefield franchise. I always have a blast playing it. I've been playing a ton of it over the last couple months because it's something different. If you need your infantry fix, you can easily get that. Not to mention if you want to hunt down a ton of vehicles with the TOW or RPG SRA or SMA, you could do that. But believe it or not, this video, this gameplay ties into what's been going on over the last week and what's going to be happening over the next 10 days or so in my personal life. For those of you who do not know, who do not pay attention to the DICE Twitter or the Star Wars Battlefront Twitch or Twitter, I was busy. I took a little trip, a secret trip with Level Cap Charlie and Jack Frags, a.k.a. Jack. Darkness was there, Tim. And we played the new Star Wars Battlefront expansion. I can talk about it. The 4 new weapons, and of course the new hero and the new villain. But I can't show my gameplay until tomorrow, the 21st, is when my embargo lifts. So usually I try to line this up pretty easily, and I absolutely fail. A lot of times when I play this, you'll see me staring with the mini-map as I'm trying to break lines of sight and get into cover as I launch my TV missile, because that's one thing you could do on this map. There's a lot of these rock-type pillars that you can get into full speed, pop the TV like right there if it was available, and you'll cruise into cover, making a very tough then for them to make. And believe it or not, this video, this Naval Strike footage ties into everything I just did with the Star Wars Battlefront stuff because that's owned by Disney. And of course, Dennis Bronval is behind that. And he was at the event. For those of you who do not know, Dennis Bronval was a major part of the Battlefield franchise. Actually responsible for Naval Strike. And I actually picked his brain on a couple things. I said, hey, now that this game's done, obviously, we've heard the news that the CTE support is done when it comes to new content, but they'll fix any bugs that may come up or game-breaking stuff if it is found. And he said this: there is a destroyer-type prototype, something bigger than the attack boat, more powerful than the attack boat. Can you imagine something with surface-to-surface missiles if it had that? Maybe it was a 4 or 5 person seater. Maybe there was just one on the map, just like the attack choppers or some of the extra attack boats where you have to fight for that flag. It pops a spawn, then your team controls it until it dies and they steal the cap from you, or they just take it next time it spawns. Could you imagine that being the destroyer of worlds? What if it had surface-to-air capabilities as well? We all know when Battlefield 4 first came out, AA was everywhere and it was extremely strong. Some maps had 4 or even 5 AA vehicles, the anti-anything vehicles. And of course they've been adjusted down, but they're still very strong, especially if you quit, is it the passive missiles on those things? Just disgusting to air. So it's interesting to pick Dennis's brain about Naval Strike because I've had a lot of fun with this expansion pack. It's something I like to jump in and play because I can't get gameplay like this or have these feelings with any other game or expansion pack. It's really unique. So obviously Dennis ties into the Star Wars Battlefront because he's a major part of that franchise, and he's who we got to work with and interact with when we did the Star Wars Battlefront event. The new Star Wars Battlefront event will feature a couple videos on my channel. This is the close quarters expansion pack, and more than likely you've checked out some of the live streams or seen some of the tweets. It's infantry centric. There is a new hero, there is a new villain. They both have very defined roles. One's very offensive minded, one's very defensive minded. If you play them within their strengths, they're absolutely destructive. And Darth Vader got a little love. He's more tanky, he's just more gross up close. So I'll kind of detail all that stuff, including the new weapons, over the next couple days, because that also ties into what's going on, all this Disney stuff, right? For those of you who do not know, my partner is Maker, aka Disney, and I'm actually going to Disney World or Disneyland, whichever one's in Orlando, for the first time in my life. I can't wait to take the toddlers, our 2- and 3-year-old. They love Disney stuff. I'm just excited. Number one, this is the first family vacation we've had since the babies were born. So we've had a 1 or 2 or 3 day trip down the road because we do live on the coast here in the Great Lakes, and there's tons of stuff to do in the summertime, but it's just so hard to get away for a week period of time. So here's the question I have for you guys. Never been to Disney. I've got tickets for a couple of days. What should I do for toddlers in mind, but a little fun for Mrs. X Factor and myself. I know the place is massive. I know it's the greatest place on earth, but I've never been. I have no clue, and we leave in a couple days. So over the next week, I will be gone. There will be no live stream until I get back. So there will be some Battlefield 4 footage on the channel. There will be some Star Wars Battlefront footage on the channel. And we're going to squeak in a couple more Division videos because, believe it or not, I enjoy playing the game. The PvP and rogue system is absolutely broken, but the game has a ton of potential because some of the core stuff, the basic mechanics, and some of the ideas behind it, it's a lot of fun. And I'm highly, highly drawn to it right now. But we talked about that. There will be a winding down of the Battlefield footage over the next couple months because the BF5 hype train is about to become. GDC, which is over on the west coast of the United States, has been the announcement for Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. That didn't happen this year. But there's something unique going on with EA this year. They're not going to be a part of E3. A couple days before, they're going to have a 2 or 3 day event called EA Play, which of course we're going to be able to probably have hands-on to Mirror's Edge. And more than likely, you're going to hear about and maybe even see a couple trailers for Battlefield 5. If they don't do it now, when are they going to do it? And of course, if there's some crazy visual leak that gets out, that might force the PR team, the marketing team to move up the announcement. But I really don't foresee that happening. That's happened before with specific games and expansion packs where PR teams and marketing teams have had to scurry around to get all their stuff out. But I can't wait to see what Battlefield 5 is going to be about. Hopefully, it's going to be this kick-ass game that everyone wants to play. It has the repeatability of Battlefield 3, Bad Company 2, and Battlefield 4 because I highly enjoyed all of those titles. And, of course, the graphical goodness that's come with it. So think about this for a second. The Star Wars Battlefront graphics are pretty disgusting, right, when cranked up on Ultra on a PC? Whether it's the shadows or the lighting of the actual detail or even Darth Vader's cape, the way it moves as he kind of floats around the map, dropping the heavy hammer on people. Think about what Battlefield 5 or Battlefield Next or Battlefield Dinosaur Edition is going to be when we finally get to see that trailer. I remember everybody doubted when those trailers started coming out for Star Wars Battlefront that those weren't in-game, that those are actually rendered out, but come to find out that they actually were in-game. That's absolutely disgusting. So DICE has had a little bit more time to fine-tune optimizations and tweak those graphics capabilities. So that's one of the things that I'm super excited for. And believe it or not, that's something I really didn't care about in the past. Probably because I used to have a potato computer when I used to compete in the Battlefield series way back in the day. Even in Bad Company 2, I had a GTX 460, which, great. Played the game fine, but don't forget, we had to run third-party anti-cheat and record every single round that we played when it came to leagues and tournaments. So something that simply could have portrayed 60-plus FPS on medium and low settings, it got bogged down by third-party anti-cheats and, of course, having to record. It was an absolute nightmare. And now that I actually don't game on a potato, I like to crank things up as long as I maintain 120-plus FPS just to see how beautiful it could be. And this game still amazes me. Like something like this, all the rippling of the waves, the way the light's hitting it, and of course the sun in the background. And for those of you who don't remember, the sun in Battlefield 3, depending on what map you're playing, that thing needed to be nerfed into oblivion. It was just this big flashbang floating in the sky, and depending on what map you're playing, especially in rush mode on a couple of the maps, it sucked being the attackers, depending on what part of the flag or the map that you were attacking. You simply could not see, and even if somebody was on the crest of the hill, you still couldn't see. You should have seen some sort of black outline. Nah, you're blind. Floating flashbangs got you. And just like that, I've been had. This run comes to an end, so hats off to the guys repairing my boat and working with me in VoIP. You heard me pop the extinguisher, but I clipped the land. It's really tough to get on the burn here and line up an escape route, which is probably the most important thing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this rambling commentary. If you did, don't forget to throw up a thumbs up, a like, and don't forget to tell me what to do at Disney, the cool places to check out, and I'll leave you with this gem of a moment. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Oh, the dust bay! I just dusted. Come on, get the fuck out of here, DICE. DICE, please!